Good day, class. I will be your teacher for Mathematics 9. I'm Miss Anne. So before we start our class, let's have an opening prayer first. May I request everyone to please close their eyes and feel the presence of the Lord. Dear Lord, we thank you 100-fold for the love and care that you have given us. May we, in return to you, your good works by multiplying it with love and respect, adding more faith, subtracting the unworldly behavior and evil works, and dividing your given talents to others so we can sum it all and be united as one in your family. In this we pray. Amen. So Mathematics 9 Quarter 3 Module 5 is all about describing a proportion and applying the fundamental theorems of proportionality to solve problems involving proportions. So at the end of this module, you are expected to first describe what is a proportion, second, apply the fundamental theorem of proportionality to solve problems involving proportions, and solve problems involving proportions. But then, for today's topic, we will be discussing describing a proportion and the fundamental law of proportionality. So at the end of the discussion, you are expected to first review about ratio. Second is to describe a proportion. And last is to identify the fundamental law of proportionality. But before we start, can you sing with me? Let us listen to this song on ratio and proportion.
Six eggs, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour.
So what is ratio? Ratio, it is a comparison of two quantities by division. It is an indicated quotient of two quantities of the same kind, expressed in the same unit or measure. So ito daw ay pagkukumpara ng dalawang quantities. So, ini-indicate nito ang quotient ng dalawang quantities na magkamuka ng unit o kaya ng sukat. The result of the comparison is a number without any unit. So, pag sinulat natin si ratio, hindi natin sinasama yung unit na magkapareha sila. So, it is written lang as two numbers. So, paano po ba sinusulat ang ratio? So, given two numbers A and B should not be equal to 0. A ratio is the quotient of A divided by B. So, paano natin isusulat yon? Yung quotient of A divided by B. So, that is A over B. This ratio can be written in three ways. So, ang ratio daw ay pwedeng isulat sa tatlong paraan. Una, ay yung A to B. Pangalawa, yung A na may colon sa gitna, A colon B. Or, pwede din yung kamukha kanina, yung fraction A over B. And this ratios is read as A is to B. So, yung tatlong paraan na yan, ang basa pa rin ay A is to B. So, meron ako ditong halimbawa ng ratio. In every class of 35 students, there are 8 teachers. Ano daw yung ratio ng teachers to the student? What is the ratio of the teachers to the students? So, titingnan natin dun sa question kung ano yung kinokompara. So, ang kinocompare dun ay yung bilang ng teachers at bilang ng estudyante. So, in the first statement, it is written that there are 8 teachers and 35 students. So, paano natin yun isusulat? So, nauna yung teachers. So, dapat yung bilang ng teachers yung una nating ilalagay. Susundan ng bilang ng students. So, that will be 8 is to 35. Or pag sinulat natin as fraction, that is 8 over 35. So, the next is, can you give me the ratio of the following? So, number 1, there are 12 girls and 17 boys in a class. What is the ratio of girls to boys? Meron daw 12 babae at 17 lalaki sa isang klase. Tinatanong ano daw yung ratio ng girls to boys. So, syempre, uunahin natin yung bilang ng mga babae, girls, kaysa dun sa bilang ng mga babae kasi yun yung hinihinging comparison. So, ilan ba yung girls sa bilang ng boys? So, that is 12 girls and 17 boys. So, pag sinulat natin siya as ratio, so that will be 12 is to 17. Okay? So, yung unang bilang, which is the number of girls, at yung pangalawa naman ay number of boys. So, sabi nga kanina, they can be written in different forms. So, yung word form, kung isusulat natin yung kanina, sa word form, that is 12 to 17. Sa colon form, or yung sagot natin kanina, in ratio notation, that is 12 is to 17. Ginagamitan natin ang colon. And then, for the third one, fraction form, that will be 12 over 17. So, ang basa dyan, laging 12 is to 17. So, let's have number 2. Company A hired 11 new employees while Company B hired only 7. What is the ratio of newly hired employees of Company B to Company A? So, kung makikita po ninyo, Company B muna to Company A. So, titingnan natin muna yung bilang ng Company B newly hired employees, susundan nung Company A newly hired employees. So, sa Company B merong 7, sa Company A ay mayroong 11. So, ang ratio po ng newly hired employees of Company B to Company A is 7 is to 11. So, Company B muna yung una, kaya 7, tas Company A, 11. So, 7 is to 11. So, pag isinulat natin siya into fraction, that is 7 over 11. Third example. There are 10 dogs and every 5 cats. What is the ratio between the dogs and the cats? So, nauna si dogs, sunod si cats. So, how many dogs, how many cats? So, the ratio is 10 is to 5. 10 is to 5. Or written it as a fraction, that is 10 over 5. As you can see, 10 over 5 can be simplified. So, paano po ba nagsisimplify ng ratio? Ang ginagawa po natin, we are going to think of a number that is both divisible by the numerator and the denominator. So, yung tinatawag nating greatest common factor, i-divide natin yung greatest common factor sa numerator at saka sa denominator. So, with 10 over 5, ang ating GCF ay 5. Okay? So, i-divide natin yung 10 by 5, yung 5 by 5. So, that will be equal to 2 over 1. So, writing it in ratio notation, that will be 2 is to 1. 2 is to 1. Example number 4. In a basketball game, L.A. Tenorio scored 28 points, while Kiefer Ravena scored 20 points. What is the ratio of Tenorio's score to Ravena's score? Ano po ba yung score ni Tenorio? 28 points. Si Kiefer, 20 points. So, paano natin isusulat yung ratio? So, that will be 28 is to 20. Writing it as a fraction, that will be 28 over 20. So, as you can see, number 4, example can be written in simplest form. So, how are we going to simplify 28 over 20? So, again, think of the GCF of 28 and 20. So, ano ba ang GCF ng 28 at saka 20? So, that is 4. I-divide natin the numerator and the denominator with 4. So, 28 divided by 4, 20 divided by 4, the answer is 7 over 5. So, writing it in ratio notation, that is 7 is to 5. So when the same kind of quantities are given but are expressed in different units of measure, we have to convert them first to the same unit before writing the corresponding ratio. So the first 4 examples are all of the same kind of quantities. But then, paano kung magkakaiba na ng kind of quantities or magkaiba na ng units of measure? Ano ang dapat nating gawin? We have to convert them first to the same unit or bago natin isulat yung corresponding ratio. So, let's have examples of this one. So, example number 1, find the ratio of 15 days to 5 weeks. So, kung makikita po ninyo, 15 days and then 5 weeks. So, kailangan ay maging magkamukha muna yung kanilang units. So, ano ba yung pwede nating i-convert? So, ang pwede nating i-convert ay yung weeks to days para maging magkamukha yung units ng ating given. So, paano po i-convert yon? Diba sa isang linggo, merong 7 days. So, if there are 7 days in 1 week at yung given dyan ay 5 weeks, so we need to multiply 5 weeks by 7 days. So, that will be 35. So, that is 35 days. Therefore, 15 days to 35 days na yung ating hahanapan ng ratio. So, as you can see, parehas na sila ng units, parehas ng days. So, pwede na natin siyang isulat or we can write its corresponding ratio and the ratio is 15 is to 35. So, as you can see, 15 is to 35 can be simplified. So, paano po natin isi-simplify yung 15 at saka 35? So, isip po tayo ng number na pwedeng i-divide parehas sa 15 and 35. So, 15 and 35 are both divisible by 5. So, ang GCF nila ay 5. So, 15 divided by 5 and 35 divided by 5, that will be 3 is to 7 or 3 over 7. Okay? Example number 2. Find the ratio of 3 hours to 50 minutes. So, magkaiba ulit. Hours and minutes. So paano po ang gagawin natin? So, we can convert hours to minutes. So, sa loob ng isang oras, there are 60 minutes. So, therefore, yung 3 hours, pag kinonvert natin to minutes, that will be 3 times 60 minutes. So, that is equivalent to 180 minutes. So, therefore, we can now say that 180 minutes to 50 minutes yung kukuhanan natin ng ratio. Kasi yung 3 hours ay 180 minutes. So, writing it in ratio notation, that will be 180 is to 50. 180 is to 50. So, as you can see, we can also simplify 180 is to 50. So, ano po ang number na pwede nating i-divide sa 180 at saka sa 50? So, that will be 10. So, pag sinimplify po natin, divide natin yung 180 sa 10 at saka yung 50 sa 10. So, that will be 18:5. Or writing it in fractional form, that will be 18/5. Okay. So, let us have activity on simplifying ratio. So, how are we going to simplify these ratios given? So, let us have the directions. It is written that you need to write each ratio as a fraction in lowest term. So the first given is 48:36. As you can see, it is not written in fraction form. But then you can write it in fraction form and then think of the JCF and divide the numerator and the denominator by its GCF. So what will be the simplest form of 48:36 or 48/36? So that will be 4/3. Saan po natin dinivide si 48 tsaka si 36? Sa 12. Very good. Number 2, 27/72. So, pwede natin siyang isulat as 27/72. And let us simplify 27/72. Saan sila divisible? And its simplest form is 3/8. Saan natin dinivide? Dinivide natin sa 9. Number 3, 45/75. So, pwede siyang isulat as 45/75. So, ano po ang kanyang lowest term? So, that will be 3/5. Saan po natin i-divide? Dinivide po natin parehas sa 15. Number 4, 24/34. So, pwede natin siyang isulat as 24/34. So, saan po natin siya pwedeng i-divide? At anong kanyang lowest term? So, that will be 12/17. Dinivide lang natin both by 2. Last, 80/32. So, pwede natin siyang isulat as 80/32. Saan naman siya divisible? At ang kanyang lowest term ay 5/2. Dinivide natin both by 16. So, the simplest form is 5/2. So, several problems may be solved using the concept of ratio. So, let's have problems involving ratios. As a continuation, example number 3, the difference between two numbers is 40. They are in the ratio 9:7. Find the numbers. So, how are we going to find those two numbers wherein the difference between the two is 40? And their ratio is 9:7. So, the first thing we need to do is to represent. So, representation, let 9x and 7x be the numbers. So, since they are in the ratio 9:7, we can represent it as 9x is the first number and 7x is the second number. Okay? Writing an equation from the statement, the difference between two numbers is 40. So, our equation would be 9x minus 7x is equal to 40. So, the difference between the two numbers is equal to 40. So, 9x minus 7x is equal to 40. So, how are we going to solve for this equation? So, we need to subtract 9x and 7x. So, 9x minus 7x, that will be 2x, and then copy equals 40. We are solving for x. What are we going to do with 2? We are going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. So, x is equal to 20. So, x is equal to 20. So, finding the two numbers, we need to use our representation, 9x and 7x, as our numbers. So, the value of x, which is 20, we are going to substitute with 9x. So, 9 multiplied by 20. So, 9 times 20 is equal to 180. So, the second one is 7x. So, 7x, 7 multiplied by the value of x, which is 20. So, 7 times 20, the answer is 140. So, therefore, the two numbers are 180 and 140. So, you can check whether your solution is correct. So, yung dalawang numbers na hinahanap natin is 180 and 140. From the given problem, sabi the difference between two numbers is 40. So, when you subtract 140 from 180, you will get 40. So, therefore, Your answer is correct. So example number 4. So the measures of three angles of a triangle are in the ratio 2:3:4. Find the measure of each angle. So yung tatlong sukat daw ng angles ng triangle ay nasa ratio na 2:3:4. Ang tanong, hanapin daw natin yung sukat ng bawat angle. So if for example, this is our triangle and our angles are angle A, angle B, and angle C. So in your grade 8 mathematics, ang pinag-aralan po doon that the sum of the measures of the three angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So paano po yung gagawin natin? So again, we need to represent what is missing. So representation, let 2x, 3x, and 4x be the measures of the three angles. So dahil they are in the ratio 2:3:4, gawin nating 2x, 3x, and 4x yung sukat ng tatlong angles. So writing an equation, what are we going to do with 2x, 3x, and 4x? Kuhanin lang natin yung sum tapos equal natin sa 180. So that will be 2x plus 3x plus 4x is equal to 180. So since these are similar terms, we can combine 2, 3, and 4. So that is 9x is equal to 180. X lang yung hinahanap natin. So what are we going to do? We are going to divide both sides of the equation by 9. So we can cancel 9. So x na lang yung matitira and then 180 divided by 9. So 18 divided by 9 lang tayo. So that is 2. Kopyahin lang natin yung 0. So ang x natin ay equal sa 20. The question is, yun na po ba yung measure ng tatlong angles? No. So we need to use our representation 2x, 3x, and 4x. And then substitute this value of x with the given. So, kuhanin muna natin yung unang sukat. So, that is 2x. So, palitan natin yung x ng 20. So, that is 2 times 20 and that is equal to 40. So, ibig sabihin yung isang angle natin is 40 degrees. Pangalawa, 3x naman. So, yung 3, kopyahin natin yung x, palitan natin nung nasolve natin kanina, which is 20. So, that is 3 times 20. So, that is equal to 60. So, therefore, yung second angle, ang sukat ay 60 degrees. And the third angle is 4x. So, 4 multiplied by 20. So, 4 times 20, that is equivalent to 80 degrees. So, therefore, ito yung sukat ng angle 1, ito yung sukat ng angle 2, and then ito yung sukat ng angle 3. So, pwede din nating i-check kung tama yung sagot natin. So, tingnan natin, kapag inad natin yung tatlo na yan, dapat mag-equal sa 180. So, that will be 40 plus 60 plus 80 is equal to 180. So, add natin, 40 plus 60, that is 100 plus 80. So, 180. 180 is equal to 180. So, therefore, tama yung nakuha nating measurements ng ating angles ng triangle. So, 40, 60, and 80. So, therefore, the angle measures are 40 degrees, 60 degrees, and 80 degrees. Let us try to answer these two given examples, which can be found in Independent Assessment 1 of your Module 5. So, can you solve for this? Two numbers are in the ratio 2:3 and their sum is 35. So, the questions are, what is the value of x? Second, what is the smaller number? And third, what is the larger number? So, again, we need to represent what is the unknown. So, representation po natin, 2x will be the first number and 3x be the second number. So, our equation is 2x plus 3x is equal to 35 because the sum is equal to 35. So, solving for x, so add lang natin yung 2x and 3x, so that will be 5x, and then copy equal 35. Solve for x by dividing both sides by 5, so x is equal to 7. So, ang tanong, yun na ba yung sagot? Hindi pa po. So, what are we going to do? Babalik po tayo dun sa representation natin, which is 2x and 3x, and then substitute the value of x. So, that will be 2x, so that is 2 times 7, so that is 14, and then 3x, so 3 times 7, that is equal to 21. So, therefore, the numbers are 14 and 21. So, pag Pwede din nating i-check. Ang sum daw ay is equal to 35. So, pag in-add ba natin yung 14 and 21, that is equal to 35 po ba? Yes po. So, 35 is equal to 35. Therefore, the numbers are 14 and 21. So, let's have another one. The angles of a triangle are in the ratio 2:5:8. Ang question, what is the value of x? What is the measure of the smallest angle? And what is the measure of the second angle? So again, representation. So representing the measures of the three angles. So that will be 2x, 5x, and 8x be the measures of the three angles. Writing an equation for that one. So, dahil sabi natin kanina, the sum of the measures of the three angles of a triangle is equal to 180. So, that will be 2x plus 5x plus 8x is equal to 180. So, i-combine lang natin ulit yung 2x, 5x, and 8x. So, ano kaya ang sagot nun? So, that is 15x. 15x is equal to 180. X lang yung sinasolve natin. So, what are we going to do? We are going to divide both sides of the equation by 15. So, x is equal to 12. So, yun na yung value ng x natin. So, yan yung sagot natin dun sa unang question. What is the value of x? So, x is equal to 12. Second question, what is the measure of the smallest angle? So, what are we going to do? Alin ba sa tingin nyo yung smallest dyan? 2x, 5x, or 8x? So, syempre, that is 2x. So, palit lang natin yung 12 with 2 times x, so that is 2 times 12, so that is equal to 24 degrees. And then, the second angle, so alin kaya yung second? So, yun yung 5x. So, 5x is equal to 5 multiplied by 12. So, 5 times 12 is equal to 60 degrees. So, therefore, each angle measures 24 degrees, 60 degrees, and yung pangatlo, paano nakuha yung 96 degrees, ano lang gagawin natin? So, 8 multiplied by 12 lang tayo. Kaya nakuha yung 96 degrees. Okay? So, for our activity, what's new? We need to find the key that fits the lock by finding the ratio equal to the given ratio. Tingnan natin kung ano yung equivalent ng mga nasa numbers 1 to 5 doon sa mga keys na makikita natin on the right side of our presentation. So, ano kaya yung magmamatch na key doon sa ating mga padlocks? Paano natin mahanap yon? Hanapin lang natin yung equal na ratio ng nasa padlock doon sa nasa keys. So, for number 1, 1:2, alin kaya yon? So, dahil ang given na sa number 1 ay simplest form, so therefore, yung hindi simplest yung kukuhanin natin. So, alin kaya dito yon sa mga keys na to? So, let's try the first one. Yan. So, that is 5:10. So, 5:10 is equivalent to 1:2. Bakit naging equivalent sila? Kapag yung 5:10 ay dinivide natin kay 5, so that will be 1:2. How about the second one? 5:6. So, kung makikita nyo, naka-simplest form din siya. 5:6. So, ano kaya yung equivalent na keys natin for number 2? Ayan. So, that is 25:30. So, kung makikita ninyo, yung 25 and 30, they are both divisible by 5. Pag sinimplify natin, that is equivalent to 5:6. How about number 3? 15:20. So, kung makikita nyo, yung number 3, hindi siya naka-simplest form. So, alin kaya yung key na mag-unlock dun sa ating padlock? So, that is 3:4 because 15 and 20 are both divisible by 5. So, pag sinimplify natin, that is 3:4. How about number 4? 9:10. So, kung makikita nyo, simplest form yan. Ano kaya yung pwedeng match na key dyan, given itong tatlo? So, that is 45:50. Very good. So, kung makikita nyo po, yung 45 and 50, pag dinivide natin sa 5, we will get 9:10. And the last one, 40:35. So, we can simplify that one. So, alin kaya doon? So, no other choice na. Yung maliit na lang yung kunin natin. So, that will be, ayan, 8:7. So, kung makikita nyo po, 40 and 35 are both divisible by 5. So, pag sinimplify natin, that is 8:7. So, those are the keys for each padlock. So the question is, number 1, how did you find the key to each lock? Number 2, what mathematical concepts or principle did you apply to find each key? Number 3, are the two ratios equal? How did you find out that they are equal? And what do you call those two equal ratios? So kung matatandaan pa yung video natin kanina, sabi doon, a proportion are two equal ratios. So therefore, our answer for number 4, the two equal ratios are called proportion. So let us study describing a proportion and the first fundamental law of proportionality. So but before that, let us define what is a proportion. So a proportion is a statement of equality of two ratios. So gaya nga nung kanina, two equal ratios makes a proportion. So in symbols, A over B is equal to C over D, or A is to B is as C is to D, where B is not equal to 0 and D is not equal to 0. So dapat yung maging values ng B and D natin ay hindi equal sa 0. So in the proportion A over B is equal to C over D, A is our first term, B is our second term, and C is our third term. Lastly, D is our fourth term. So the second and the third terms are called the means, and the first and the fourth terms are called the extremes of the proportion. So therefore, yung B and C natin dito ay yun yung tinatawag nating means, and then A and D, yun yung tinatawag nating extremes of our proportion. But then if the proportion is written this way, A is to B as C is to D, so alin po ang magiging means natin dyan? So B and C are the means of the proportion kasi nasa gitna, malapit sa equal sign. And then the other two, A and D, yun naman yung tinatawag nating extremes. Yung parehas nasa magkabilang dulo, extremes. So if for example, I have here A is to B is equal to C is to D, ang basa daw po dyan ay A is to B as C is to D. So ang basa dyan, A is to B, yung equal is as C is to D. So in the proportion 3 is to 4 as 9 is to 12, the extremes are the numbers 3 and 12. So ang extremes natin dyan, yung dalawang nasa dulo, 3 and 12. While the means naman are yung malapit sa equal sign, which is 4 and 9, which are 4 and 9. So another example, in the proportion 5 is to 6 as 50 is to 60, alin ang means natin dyan? So ang means natin ay 6 and 50, and the extremes are 5 and 60. Another example, in the proportion 2 is to 3 as 8 is to 12, alin ang means natin? So that is 3 and 8, and our extremes are 2 and 12. Okay? So, means natin yung malapit sa equal sign, at yung extremes natin ay yung nagsa magkabilang dulo. So, in the proportion 3 is to 5 as 12 is to 20, ang means natin ay 5 and 12, and the extremes are 3 and 20. So, let us get the product of the means and the product of the extremes. Anong gagawin natin? Kuhanin natin yung product ng 5 and 12 at yung product ng 3 and 20. So, pag sinabing product, we are going to multiply 5 and 12 and multiply 3 and 20. So, let us find the product. So, 5 times 12 and 3 times 20. So, 5 times 12 is equal to 60 and 3 times 20 is equal to 60. So, what have you noticed? When we multiply the extremes and the means, we get equal products. Okay? We get equal products. So, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. So, kung makikita nyo naman, equal nung pinag-multiply natin yung means at saka yung extremes. So, therefore, this is generalized as the fundamental law of proportionality. Ano yung nasa fundamental law of proportionality? It states that in any proportion, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. So, yun pala yung fundamental law of proportionality, wherein in any proportion, when we multiply the means, it is equal to the product of the extremes. The product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. So therefore, to be able to check whether a given pair of ratio is a proportion or not, we just need to get the product of the means and the product of the extreme. So, para ma-check natin kung yung binigay ba na equality between two ratios ay proportion or not, kuhanin lang natin yung product ng means at saka yung product ng extreme. So, let's have examples for that. So, let us identify whether the given is proportion or not. So number 1, 4:5 is as 12:15. So again, what are we going to do? We will get the product of the means and the product of the extreme. So 5 and 12 when multiplied, that is equal to 60. And 4 times 15 when multiplied, the answer is also 60. So therefore, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. Is this a proportion or not? So this one is a proportion. Another example, we have 7:5 is equal to 28:25. So again, getting the product of the means. So 5 times 28, that is 140. And 7 times 25, so that is 175. So kung makikita po natin, they are not equal. So is this a proportion or not? So this one is not a proportion. Example number 3. Paano kapag nakasulat siya in fraction form? 6/9 is equal to 4/6. So to be able to check the product of the means and the extremes, kuhanin lang natin yung cross product. So these are the means. So 9 times 4, so that is equal to 36. And then 6 times 6, that is equal to 36. So makikita nyo po, equal po yung ating product ng means and extreme. So therefore, this is a proportion. Last example, we have 1/2 is equal to 20/25. So getting its cross products. So 2 times 20, that is 40. And 1 times 25, that is equal to 25. So as you can see, they are not equal. So if they are not equal, this one does not expresses a proportion. Okay? So, ayun lang. Para malaman natin kung proportion ba o hindi, we need to get the product of the means and the extremes. Okay? So, ready na ba kayo para sa ating recitation? So, this one is part of independent activity 2. So, what is the direction? Determine whether the given pairs of ratio are proportion or not. Draw a heart if the given is a proportion and a star if it is not. So, I have here example number 1. 5:6 is equal to 10:12. So, getting the product of the means and the extremes. So, that will be, is it a heart or a star? So, when we multiply 6 and 10, that is 60. 5 and 12, that is 60. They are equal, so it is a star. Another one, 7:8 is equal to 21:24. So, getting the product of the means and the extremes. Anong product ng means natin at saka ng extremes? So, that will be 168 is equal to 168. So, therefore, is it a star or a heart? So, it is also a heart. For number 3, we have 10:9 as 9:10. So, getting the product of the means and the product of the extremes. So, that will be 81 and 100. So, 81 is not equal to 100. Therefore, the answer is a star. Number 4. So, we have 18:21 as 6:8. So, getting the product of the means and the extremes. So, what will be the result? So, that is 126 and 144 and they are not equal. So, therefore, it is a star. Last, we have 88:56. So, that is equal to 11:7. So, getting the product of the means and the product of the extremes, we have 616 is equal to 616. So, therefore, it is a star. Okay. And for your activity, you will be answering the continuation of independent activity 2. Draw a heart if the given is a proportion and a star if it is not. So, we have number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10. So, the given in number 6 to 10 are fractions. No po? So, what are you going to do? You are just going to get the cross products of those numbers. And if the cross products are equal, you're going to draw a heart. But if it is not, you're going to draw a star.